I just talked for 40 minutes. Oh, I'm on it after 3 minutes. That's what I'm doing. My name is Janet Garrison. I am a Mason County resident. And I have been sworn in. All right. Okay. So, many of you know me. I taught here at the college for over 30, 40 years. So I have one foot in farmland and one foot in technology. This was hard for me. I should be cheering this on. But because I do have a background in technology, I've read all the horror stories about some of these speculative data centers moving in and taking advantage. So that's why I am working with We Are Mason County, and I am a member of Friends of Minerva, so we can make sure that the community is heard and protected. We could welcome this, but we have to be protected, okay? I like what I have heard so far, all right? I really wish we'd had this pep rally information session a couple months ago. We have several concerns that have been addressed thus far, but not all. So some of my slides won't be as relevant, but the teacher in me has to put those details out there. I like what Owen had to say about, being the best of the best. That's what I want for this community. So once again, my background, you can see I was farm and teaching, protecting the environment, supporting a sustainable future, and no fear-mongering. But we're going to address, okay, next slide, we're going to address the ugly elephant in the room, all right? EKPC said they are proactive at pursuing opportunities. Well, this blindsided us. They secretly recruited a 2.2 gigawatt data center customer. And the scary part of that is they also have the power to use eminent domain to force people to sell. So, I don't know if you consider that a conflict of interest. Is that ethical? Aren't they a nonprofit member-owned co-op? We own them? Is this a betrayal or abuse of the people they serve? I mean, we trusted EKPC. And now we're suspicious because this is very scary, especially for those people who have been approached and possibly bullied to sell their land. And when two widows may be forced to sell their land, we need to come back and think about this. What kind of community are we? That really concerns me. Next, oh, she's already there. Now, you mentioned earlier that the PJM grid, well, EKPC's 2024 data, the 2025 data is not out yet. Their total capacity, 3,438 megawatts, all right? The peak demand was 37,054 megawatts, which is larger than 3438. So as you can see in the chart, during the winter, we're using more than we can produce. So we have to buy from the PJM, apparently. I haven't had this answered, so maybe somebody from EKP can sit down with me sometime this week and we can go through it. But the summer, we have a surplus, so we're able to sell. And this is all public available information. Okay? Next slide. The data center tariff rate is a step in the right direction. I love that. I love that. But relying on the PJM to purchase the extra power is maybe not such a good idea, because FERC in June 2025 said that PJM was inadequate to meet current and future demands for large data center loads. So if data centers are being built throughout several states and everybody thinks they're going to get the extra power they need from the PJM, everybody's going after the same resource. So, we're not going to get a piece of the pie. EKPC proposes $2 billion in investment to add 1.2 gigawatts. So I was glad to Nick say that the data center is going to pay for that, because that worried me. All right, next slide. They're going to build 1.2 gigawatts from the research. Once again, I'm welcoming KPC to contact me and let's sit down and I can get better educated. But this list, I'm not going to read through it, but only 2 of them that are not highlighted are Cooper and Spurlock, to be retrofitted to be co-fired, so they can burn gas and coal. All right? We're doing that to extend the life of those generating plants. That's fine. But the rest of this all applies to meeting the needs of the data center customer, the 2.2 gigawatt customer. And that's what I was worried about. Who was going to pay for the extra generation project? So these are not costs associated with getting power to their site. This is to generate the power in the first place. All right? Now, all I want you to look at is the number at the bottom, lower right. Based on a document that was released in May of 2025, the Transmission Expansion Advisory Committee, which is a PJM planning committee, EKPC filed with them their plans to be able to get up to 2.2 gigawatts by 2031. All right? Now, all of these have to do with the local infrastructure to get the power to the data center. The data center pays for this. All right, next slide. But the $2 billion, that was where my question was. If there's $2 billion to generate the extra capacity and $566 million to get the power to the site, all right, I will be thrilled to hear that data center's paying for both. Because my concern was we would be paying for that for the next 4 years. Ratepayers. So EKPC requires a bond for data centers to recover all infrastructure costs specific to their operation if they abandon the project. That makes sense. I'm saying, do you have another bond that covers the $2 billion generation investment so the ratepayers don't have to pay it? So Tanner, Jeff, Nick, everybody said no, we wouldn't be paying for that. Everybody heard that here tonight. I love that. All right, now let's get back to the zoning amendment discussion. Closed loop, dry cooled, sounds great. That means no pipeline needs to be built from the river up to wherever the data center site is. That's great. We have, thus far, other than tonight, had received no concrete information from the developer regarding how much water they will use daily, and that they would use only river water for cooling if they were a massive water consumer, all right? But our thoughts are we still want to protect our aquifer from being contaminated in any way, so if you're going to have any kind of holding ponds, reservoirs, they need to be properly lined, because any chemicals that you may use in your water, we don't want that in our aquifer. Now, evaporative cooling causes elements in water to become more highly concentrated, such as nitrates, PFAs, etc. So there's a second side to the Prineville, Oregon story. This past couple of weeks, a Rolling Stone magazine released an article about Prineville, and now they are experiencing elevated rates of cancer in young people and miscarriages. And they were wondering why. It is because, now hopefully we'll never do this here, but this is a concern we need to watch because we are farming, we use ammonium nitrate, and so forth. In Prineville, Oregon, they also had the large corporate farms that were trying to get additional desert-like land to make it more fertile to raise your McDonald's potatoes for the French fries and onions. And what happened over the course of several years is their aquifer got contaminated with excess nitrates. The data centers brought the water in, the evaporated cooling then concentrated the nitrates. The wastewater went to a certain area where it was then pumped back out over the land for the farmers. So that's a lesson to be learned right there. The discharged water, which is considered industrial waste, must be properly treated before returned to local reservoir streams or the Ohio River. We do want this developer to submit water usage reports annually But if they're dry cooled, this should be no problem. And since they are going to be in the Western Mason Water District, which by the way has some of the most modern infrastructure in the county, I'm very proud of Western Mason Water District management. Should we have a bond for the water district in case something falls through after they've torn up water lines so we can put them back? Because we're proud of Western Mason Water District. Next slide. All right. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't really care about this. I just want the jobs and I want the tax revenue because I don't live out there where this thing might go. Well, the wind can carry things. It can carry noise and air pollution. I live over 3 miles away from the railroad tracks, but if the wind's just right, it sounds like that train whistle's blowing right outside my door. So the prevailing winds will carry noise and pollution. So everybody needs to care about this. All right, next slide. Noise, same thing here is true. Low frequency vibrational noise, sometimes called tonal noise. The best way for me to describe it is if a kid goes down the road with a big boom speaker, big subwoofer in the trunk of their car, boom, boom, boom. I mean, you might not hear the immediately go, oh, why do I feel something? You know, it's vibrational, all right? That's what you're feeling. You may not hear it. I don't notice my refrigerator running all the time. There's a noise with it. But this type of noise, low frequency vibrational noise, causes a lot of illness. Because stress causes cortisol levels. You can no longer get the rest you need. You get inflammation. Inflammation leads to heart attack, stroke, etc. So this is nothing to laugh about. And it can carry up to 3 miles. So you see where the circles are? Oh, you need to go back. And the little red stars are the school system. The blue stars are our medical and extended care and nursing facilities. And the poor little yellow star in the middle is Highland Heights. Okay, you can go on to the next one. Why noise matters? Direct data centers, maybe not this customer, but some of the unscrupulous ones, often emerge rapidly in less regulated or residential areas. They result in noise complaints, reduced quality of life for people, animals, and insects, anything living. Noise control measures for high and low frequencies are needed along with revisions to local noise ordinances. We need to be able to protect the community and no pay to play. No, just let's assess a fine and slap them on the wrist, because they'll just keep doing it. Data centers produce several types of frequencies that are not acoustic, meaning you can't hear it, you feel it, and cannot be measured in decibels. Our current amendment only addressed the decibels. Sufficient setbacks are required so that those levels drop before they reach a person's front door. The site concern. In the amendment, it says data centers shall be allowed only in I-3 rural industrial zones. The definition for that in Kentucky is manufacturing and heavy commercial operations such as factories, warehouses, quarries, trucking companies, etc. These should be typically located away from residential areas to minimize adverse effects on living conditions. Local zoning ordinances must include specific requirements for noise, traffic, and pollution management. Next slide, please. We've been told once again that this needs to go into I-3. We already have existing I-3 sites. Okay, I've got them listed on here, A, B, C, and D. Well, A obviously is the river port. There is no space down there to put a data center. B is Carmoose, once again. No space unless you want to be really innovative and put the baby underground and protect it from electromagnetic pulses. C, EKPC, if you've driven out by there, if you go down South Ripley Road, they own a lot of land. A lot of it's ridge tops. 267 acres are ridge tops. Why not build it there? Put it right close to EKPC. And in Dover, the west of Dover, there's 624 acres. But we're saying we want to take this red square and convert it to I-3. Well, we've already got I-3. Okay. Next slide. Okay, on this slide it's showing the existing industrial parks. You can put one in an existing industrial park if it's multi-story. This is what they do in other parts of the world. They put it in an industrial park. And especially where land is scarce, If you go out over to Japan, Taiwan, so forth, they build a multiple stories tall. We could do that. We could do that. We don't have to take all the farmland. Maysville's getting many benefits. We've heard of the benefits that Maysville's getting. What are the county people getting? The people who are going to live right next to this. I haven't heard anything yet, other than maybe our property taxes will go down. Next slide. So the people concerns. The green outline here, and once again, I came up with this map. I own this. I came up with this map by talking to local people to find out, are you in or out of this project? Have you been contacted? So this is like the area of interest. And this is 8,025 acres. 4,525 north of the AA highway, 3,500 acres south of the AA highway. This area involves, in Highland Heights alone, 115 families. And on Valley Pike, Big Pond, Tuckahoe, Minerva, it's 500 plus families. That's north of the AA. I didn't even count south of the AA. Next slide, please. I am concerned about the very low direct jobs for the 2,500 acres. We've been told 50, 100, 400, and then earlier I heard 150 to 200. There are 10,000 employees at Toyota on 1,300 acres. So, I mean, you know, as just waiting this is not the best deal maybe we could get, but anyway. The ratepayers hopefully are not on the hook now for the $2 billion investment. We don't know what's going on with this 8,000 acres. Is there a land grab in the process so they can grab the land and then later add more data centers or something else? It's scary. Farmland and natural habitats will be lost forever. Over 615 families will be impacted. Those who sell must relocate. And by the way, I'm not against data centers and I'm not against people selling their land for however they want, okay? We do not fault the people who sold their land. They got a great deal, okay? Sometimes they were kind of put between a rock and a hard place, but, you know, that was up to them. But the remaining local people will have to endure 10 plus years of construction, I wish it was conservation, construction, chaos, and hazards, air, water, noise pollution, water quality, pressure issues, possible electric grid issues as well. All right, next slide. But, I know sound doom and gloom is over. There is still hope. On the 9th of September, Judge Executive Owen McNeil made this statement. So I would have no issue with having zoning regulations that are some of the most stringent in the United States. I love that, Owen. I do. And I want us to honor that. Okay? So we can live with this comfortably. Next slide. So also quoting a friend of mine, our history shows a better way. Mason County's past was built on progress. Our future depends on our ability to exploit current opportunities. Generations before us welcomed innovation. So we can exploit this opportunity and welcome innovation if we work as a team and all players proceed in a do-no-harm manner. So with proper regulations, we can make Mason County the best of the best, the first-in-class, good neighbor data center model for the world. All right? Community involvement is key. Next slide. All right, so we've got to work as a team. Everybody's ideas matter. We need to build back trust. The NDAs have destroyed our trust in city and county officials. That's right. Developer needs to communicate with concerned citizens and not just county officials. And more importantly, this question was asked of me several times. Janet, have you visited a data center? And at the time I said no. So I had to go visit one. The Planning Commission needs to visit a community with a data center for this specific developer and talk to local residents so you can get the feedback. Next slide. We need to preserve farmland and use existing industrial parks in I-3 zones if at all possible. Located closer to EKP and the river. Put it in existing industrial parks. Next slide, setbacks. The setbacks in the proposal are inadequate based on the sound. We propose in sensitive areas like out there near farms and homes, 1,500 to 2,000 feet for the setback for a hyperscale data center. Next slide. Structure height. I mentioned, it'd be great to build them taller, but that comes with problems too. Taller buildings create more aggregate noise. But you could go on to the next slide because I'm going to fly through these. 75 feet is what you have listed. That's fine in an industrial park, but we don't want these huge structures that have a reflexive echo out in the country. So we were saying maximum height less or equal 30 feet. That's negotiable. Lighting. Lighting slide. Okay, so lighting, we don't want the light to trespass onto other people's property. So 0 uplight, 0 backlight and glare, and next slide please. This is Microsoft's data center lighting best practices. I like it. This is what we need to request. You don't want light shining in your bedroom when you're trying to sleep. Okay, next slide. All right, now here are the noise decibels. We recommend you reduce all these by 10. That would be great. Out in the country, the noise is typical 40 to 45 decibels. If you build this thing with this in mind, with all the noise mitigation, they can do this. They can make it quiet. Next slide, please. Proactive noise mitigation. In the design, you need to have a sound study, so we need to know what the baseline is, what's the goal. We require them to conduct annual sound studies to stay within the limits. Next slide.
Ms. Garrison, final thoughts. You're 21 and a half minutes.
All right, backup generator, tier 4. Decommissioning plan is completely missing. The decommissioning plan, we need one. And we need a moratorium, so we have more time, so we can send our board members to visit a site, so we can bring the community, get more community involvement. And go ahead and take me to the very last slide. One more. Please don't rush this. It's not too late to do the right thing. Make Mason County the best of the best, first-in-class, good neighbor data center model, and I'll be your biggest cheerleader. Thank you.